Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where today you join me for something very, very special. Behind me is the new Rimac C-Two. We're getting an opportunity to take an exclusive behind the scenes look at their latest electric hypercar just ahead of the Geneva reveal to bring you a lot of information today about this new machine. Naturally, I'm quite excited. Just wait until you hear some of the numbers that this thing boasts. As we get started taking a walk around of the new Rimac C-Two, let me just start with some of the headline figures, the facts and details. So this car, from a 120 kilowatt hour battery, has 1,914 horsepower, 2,300 Newton meters of torque. That means 0 to 60 miles per hour by the US system is just 1.85 seconds. You heard that correctly, well under the 2-second mark. In fact, 0 to 62 miles per hour, 100 kilometers an hour is still just 1.97. So it's a significant development on from the first car, the concept one that you're no doubt familiar with, but the C-Two is an entirely new machine. It's been in development for 4 years or so. There's a lot of trick technology at play in this, but let's start just taking, I guess, a look into more of the design as we explore around it. And remember that this hypercar has a top speed of 258 miles per hour, 412 kilometers per hour, and that is only because it's electronically limited at that speed. So it's still very distinctly Rimac. Of course, they're a young company from Croatia, but they created their styling, and this really takes that, in my mind, onto another level. It's more defined, more specific and sporty as we look around it. But really, just to start around the front, naturally it's entirely carbon fiber. The car is based upon a very large carbon fiber monocoque, with the batteries being built into that system beneath the base of the car, obviously keeping center of gravity very low. That means that it has one entire part. There's no brake for a bulkhead to have the engine mounted behind that. As we start around the front though, it has that familiar shape, a new logo worn on the crest on the bonnet of the car. And I'll also state at this moment there are going to be 150 of this version of the C-Two. C-Two is not actually its final name, that's the code name for this project. But you look around, you've got elements of carbon fibre, broken up slightly by the occasional panel housing various sensors because it's capable of level 4 autonomous driving. It has all sorts, over 400 sensors in total on this car. There are actually 8 cameras as well, and the 8 cameras do all sorts of clever things. For example, the ones right here behind the doors actually recognize the driver, facial recognition, and will open the door if you're an authorized person to drive or access the vehicle. But the design, like I said, one of the signature important features is actually this element down the side. So a traditional Croatian feature is the tie. The tie was created or developed in Croatia in the 18th century, and you'll notice this shape is quite familiar to that. Either side of a very central line running the length of the car. Through here you'll notice it's symmetrical up and below, and even these additional curves you see towards the rear. So it's still very clean. The surfaces, everywhere you look, very smooth and gentle around the car. But again, you do get a sense of it's designed for aerodynamic efficiency when you come to components like the rear wing here. So it's a wing that you can clearly see will raise or lower. It acts as an active air brake as well, positioning itself up in the air where it will sit down lower, flush into the bodywork. Just inside here, we have nice features there. For example, that's a digital display to show you the state of charge of the vehicle. You have other touches like that around. In fact, right here on that carbon fiber part at the side, you have the triple lights, which will show you whether it's charging. They're full RGB. They can create all sorts of patterns and different things depending what you want them to do. There's more active aero around the rear. This lower diffuser tucks down as well. There is actually so much as I go around this car to tell you about, but that will lower, raise depending on the stability required at different speed. It's just an incredible thing to behold. It's a smart grand touring style of hypercar, yet it will do 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds and go over 250 miles per hour, which is utterly absurd. mixed inside the design, and you'll notice the wide headlights with their eyebrows snaking over the top of them. There are all sorts of more active flaps here. For example, airflow comes through the front grille here, through a ginormous radiator that is literally this entire area at the front, and straight out over the top. It can also feed through and underneath the car, because the car is obviously powered by 4 different motors, 2 on the front axle, 2 on the rear, to give it optimum traction and allow you to control where the power is being distributed. 4 all-wheel torque vectoring through that power as well. All sorts of technology, and we're just touching on the surface here as we explore around it and try and take it in. So I don't think I actually mentioned that these sensors or these panels are actually because sensors can't work through carbon fibre. So that has to be done like that, but you've got the ultrasonic sensors neatly embedded there. Just take a look at the headlights here as well. Even that's a nice touch that's been designed specifically for this car. You might be wondering why the wheels are finished with these carbon covers. Well, this is quite clever on its own, actually. These carbon parts you see let just enough cooling in to prevent overheating from the brakes, but of course, because it's an electric vehicle, it has brake regeneration or under braking, and it can use the motors to slow down. It doesn't need so much braking power, which means it doesn't get so hot, which means you can have covers, increasing aerodynamic efficiency of the entire car. In fact, the drag coefficient is just 0.28 of this entire vehicle. So this car is obviously presented in the silver. It's a very smart, quite formal colour scheme, but you just look around it, everywhere you look, there's a new thing to discover. For example, I can tell that there's airflow coming out through there, just everything about it. These small elements here for allowing the reduction of turbulent air inside the wheel arches, and we've not even yet touched on the interior. So if I was a familiar driver, it would spot me and open up the door. As it is, I'm going to have to find the door handle under here and just pull that, if I can work it out, like that, and lift open this butterfly door to be greeted with a stunner of an interior. So you can see a bit of the carbon fibre monocoque while we're inside here. The entire part of the car, like I mentioned, right the way through to the rear, in fact, even housing this rear crash structure as well. It's all carbon fibre. It weighs 1,950 kilos. And do you know what? I should probably show you this right here. This is quite cool. So in this luggage space in the rear, which is, well, quite significant for this type of vehicle, you can see a number of, well, this particular setup, there are a number of different setups available. This is the track focus version, where you can store your 2 carbon fibre helmets, you can store your fire extinguisher, and you will notice, in case of hill climb, extinguish fire. That's quite a bit of fun. You can also have it with a luggage set configuration, or you can have it with a glass panel enabling you to see further through as well. So different options depending how the cars are going to be configured. Let's come round and just have a look inside the car and take a step in here, and I'm very, very lucky to have the opportunity to do this in the brand new C-Two. So I'm going to climb in exceptionally gently here to make sure that I do not damage their demonstration model of this car. But you can see we're greeted by digital displays galore. There's actually a passenger display over there as well. So we awaken the car by a press there.
Engaged.
C-Two engaged, ready to rumble. Just take a moment to look in here. We'll continue as a guest. Richard Hammond, apparently. Goodness me, so we've got the drive mode selector here. Give this a little twist and you go through the different drive modes. It will change what we've got on the display. So autonomous driving activated, that level 4 autonomy, but it also has an element of autonomous driving here in the driver coach that is about improving your experience actually as a driver. So it uses a number of cameras. There are a couple up here for aiding with that. You have all sorts of functionality controlled through this screen, by the way. Many of the obvious functions that you're used to seeing in such a car, so the satellite navigation, media, your track information. Remember, oh, we can scroll these up and down. Okay, that's interesting. This is, of course, into the music, the concept version of the car. If we press here, the Rimac button, and we enter our controls for the vehicle that we're slightly familiar with from the Concept 1, side view mirrors, seat adjustment, locking, all sorts of that side of the functionality. Oh, how do we do this? Here, by the way, this dial is for your rear bias, so if you turn it that way, you can see that we're lowering the percentage of power going to the rear. So if you wanted it to be more efficient, let's say on a longer drive on the motorway, you could do that. Or if you wanted maximum power, you can turn it into that mode, and the car will let you do 2 full laps of, say, the Nürburgring Nordschleife in electric mode, which is fairly incredible. That's one of the biggest challenges, obviously, with the heating that's required for the electric motors and the batteries with a vehicle such as this. But while we're in this display, let me click ADAS, where we can see some of our assistance controls, because this car is massively loaded. This is one of my favorites. So activate attention monitoring. Turn that on, and it can see which way I'm looking. So you can't really see this, but if I look left, it will tell me. And then if I look back straight, it should say okay. And if I look right, it detects that I'm looking right. So it can tell whether your eyes are correctly looking in the right place. And obviously my camera is slightly interfering with it, but it'll tell you that information on the display screen in front of you as well. So this car is exceptionally clever. It shows you a representation of where people are in front of you. I think we've got a demonstration software running in here at the moment that you can just see. It picks out cars, it can sense everything using its different sensors. It has just the most incredible setup of just everything that it has access to here. I don't even know really what to click and show you. There is so much to see. On the display in front of us, if we go through these different driving modes, you have various different screens that show. So from the driver coach here, if I went too far into track mode, you get your tire temperatures, for example, there. Into drift mode, it will show you your drift angle. Into sport mode, you get a stronger speedometer in the middle, some additional charts. Range mode, if you're going for a long distance drive. And autopilot, if you want to let the car do its thing and guide you along. Just looking around there, let's just take a moment just to take in more of what we're seeing here. And it's amazing how open this is and how you see through there to the tyres, nothing obscuring the view. Coming through again, even the dashboard is completely open, hollowed out. You can hear some unusual noises with the batteries currently engaged for the car to be turned on, but the carbon fibre, the styling is incredible. You've got that passenger display which shows you information, and also again, if we go through the different drive modes, we'll show you what mode you've got for the passenger to see some additional information about that as well over on that side, all controlled through these cameras that are just everywhere and know absolutely everything. And here's one thing that's quite intriguing: because there's no motor, or combustion motor I should say, back here, it's hollowed open through towards the rear section because the batteries are all right down in the lower sections of the car. What a spectacular place to be. This feels every bit a hypercar, and that is exactly what it should be. So let me step back out again as delicately and gently as I can in their very, very special and valuable concept model. And I'm going to come around just to open up the passenger door of the C-Two as well. Let me just come around here, find the lever. First time I've done it on the passenger side. Which way do we go? There we go. Release and open that up so you can see these butterfly wings open on the vehicle. My goodness, what a truly special thing. And remember, Rimac is such a young company, the brainchild of Mate Rimac, who hopefully we'll be able to catch up with and learn a little bit more about the car from him in due course, maybe see some more of it at the factory in Croatia. But I can tell you from my experience just seeing it now, it's truly incredible what they've been able to achieve and how they make just about everything in this car in-house. Delicately close it down, of course, to get another look at it with the doors closed. Farewell now for the interior. You've been very, very nice. Closed down and we're shut. Wow. This is absolutely awesome to look at and just take in what it's doing and how everything's working, how the front radiators cool the front motors, how the airflow in for the rear radiators cools the rear motors, how the downforce elements of the car work with active aero throughout it, how they've managed to incorporate in such a nice way a car with these aerodynamic styling features mixed in with the aero to achieve this level of performance from a car that still looks so very, very good, including the new Rimac logo and lettering that you have there on the number plate holder at the moment. So this has been a very special opportunity to take a first look and present you a preview of the Rimac C-Two. This video will drop as the covers officially come off. You can see from the curtains that we're behind the scenes here, but this has been amazing to take a look at. I hope this has been of some information to tell you more about it in the interim period before we get a proper look in due course. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up for there, so thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much to Rimac for the opportunity to come along, take a look today and learn a little bit more about the C-Two at its global introduction here at the Geneva Motorshow. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you very much again, and I'll catch up with you guys again very soon. Cheers.